Welcome to the SWOLEMATES Podcast, where your favorite fitness couple, Shane and Lizzie Martinez, talk about the hot topics in health, love, and fitness. Shane and Lizzie own a gym in El Paso, Texas. They're personal trainers and bodybuilders, bringing you the latest info and their opinions on all things health and fitness.
All right, we are back with the SWOLEMATES Podcast here at Access Multimedia. Cheers, applause.
Here.
Yay. We are at Access Multimedia, where you can come and do your own podcast anytime.
If you've ever had a dream to have your own podcast, you don't have to worry about it. We'll take care of everything. Just come in. We have cameras, sound system, everything. All you bring is your SD card, and that's all you need.
And if you need any help with marketing or advertising, Access Multimedia is there for you as well.
Yes, we do.
All right, so today on the SWOLEMATES Podcast, we are super excited because we have a really awesome guest with us today. He is someone we've been working with for the past 3 years. 3 years for me, 2 years for you. We've been working with him with BSN, our sponsored supplement company and sponsors of today's podcast. So we have Stuart Warren Dansby with us today. He is the Senior Director, Market Activation in North America for Glanbia Performance Nutrition. Prior to that, he was also the Assistant Vice President for BSN Supplements. So he has a long history in the fitness industry, and he's got lots of cool stories. He's currently also a fighter. It's MMA fighting?
Yes.
Yes, right?
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai. Right. Okay.
Which most people know as kickboxing.
And you're how old, Stuart?
62.
62 years old, and he's fighting.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a badass. We love talking to him and catching up with him whenever we get to get on Zoom, and we miss going to see him in Miami and LA because of COVID, but hopefully this year we'll get to reunite again.
So I met Stuart at a fitness expo. I've had the pleasure to work with him, and you just feel, I don't know how I explain it, you just feel like you're part of a soldier group, like an army, and he's like your general.
Yeah.
He's like a badass general that you want to just like,
You want?
to go to war with him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he's great. He's always pumping us up at the expos, and he's a really great boss, keeping everybody in check and making sure we're doing all of our jobs as sponsored athletes. So we really like working with him, and we'll turn it over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Stuart, your background, a little bit of your childhood, how you got to Miami, how you got in the fitness industry, all that good stuff.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, first off,
I
thanks so much.
Everything. Tell us everything.
Maybe I start a little bit.
Thanks for having me on, and it's always a pleasure to work with you guys. And hopefully you can get down to Miami, and as you know, you got a standing invite with Stella and I at the house, and we'll go have some fun, right? But I think why you feel that at the show, Shane, is I never look at it as me, the boss. I look at it as we work together as one team, and I'm just there to give you guys the resources and hopefully create a positive atmosphere where everybody can be as motivated as possible and everybody has a route to success. Gosh, Lizzie, that was like, you got 62 years here. I don't want to take 2 hours of your podcast. I'll do this. I moved to Miami in the mid 80s. And I was in my mid 20s.
From where, Stuart?
From where? From Colorado.
Okay.
So Miami in the mid 80s was everything you see in the movies. It wasn't exaggerated. It was the drugs, the violence, the parties. South Beach was just blowing up.
Like Scarface.
And if I remember correctly, I think I was bulletproof and immortal too, if I remember correctly, right?
You still are.
No, I'm not. But in my head, I was like, what could happen?
Yeah.
Nothing could happen to me, right?
So what made you move to Miami? What made you move to Miami? Just the scene?
I loved it. I'd always visited there. I hated the cold of Colorado, and I love the ocean. I'm a beach guy, as you guys know, and I was just drawn to it. And then I think this is going to sound silly, but when I started watching the television show Miami Vice, I'm like, why aren't I there? That's where I want to be. And boom, and it drew me there, right? So I actually moved down here to pursue an acting and modeling career, and because back then I had hair and I was 6'4". So time has beaten both of those things down. But I got into the health club business back then with you probably remember it as Bally Scandinavian, right?
Yes, Bally.
And I did it because I had flexible hours and I could pursue other things. And I'd always been into fitness, right? But not really educated. I just lifted and thought I was into fitness. And that's how I transitioned into the health club business. And in the early 90s, I left there, opened up my own personal training company and small gym on South Beach, and then sold that after about 4 years. And then I worked for a World Gym franchisee building his gyms up. And actually we were able to become the largest World Gym franchise in the world. And then got out of that business for about 8 years. And then I had known the guys that started BSN back in the health club business at World Gym. I'd actually hired them. One of them I hired to clean machines. And just because he was busting my chops. And so it was this cocky kid from New York, little bodybuilder with an afro.
Wow.
Remember the combat boots and the
Yes.
cutoff
Yeah.
Hey, give me a job. I'm like, dude, I got nothing for you. Nah, come on, man. I'm like, I got nothing. I'll be a trainer. I don't need a trainer. But he was cocky, and I liked that, right? I liked it a lot. And he's like, I'll do anything. I'm like, really? You'll do anything? He's like, yeah. You clean machines? Yeah, I'll clean machines. You'll see. I'll clean the hell out of some machines, right? So I hired him to clean machines, and his name was Scott James. And about a couple months later, we moved him to a trainer. Then we moved him into sales. And then somewhere along there, he introduced us to a good buddy of mine, or a good buddy of his, a guy named Chris Ferguson. Make a long story short, Chris and Scott both become general managers. I think we got 8 clubs at the time. They were both each running a club. And they both slowly left they left my employment, and they opened up a sports nutrition store. And if you wanted to find them for the next 2 years, they were married to that store, right? They lived in that store. Anytime where are they? They were in there. They had, a little bit of success, but nothing crazy. And then 2001, they opened up this little business called BSN. Interestingly, I had left the health club business, the gym business, and I had gone into the mortgage business, into finance. And one of the first mortgages I ever did was to get $50K out of Chris's house, refinance it so he could fund this little business called BSN. And then one of the second mortgages I ever did was to pay off all Scott's debt to refinance his house so he could free up his credit card so he could go on the road and sell. Like, that's how tight things were. And I remember doing the application form in this little cracker box of an office, and Scott goes, hey, you want to see the warehouse? I'm like, sure. And he opens it up, and it's like this. I'm like, dude, this isn't a warehouse. It's a 2-car garage. No, it's a warehouse. Do you see pallets? I'm like, I don't care what you put in it. That's how our relationship was, right? I'm like, it's a 2-car garage, Scott. It's not a warehouse. And at that point, they had also said, hey, we can't afford a flat. So could you do a before and after for us, right? So Scott lied to me. I'm like, hey, he's like, all right, Thanksgiving through Christmas, eat everything you can. Don't train at all, right? I want you out of shape. And then he's like, and then I'm like, okay, and then how long do I go on this diet, and how tight do I have to be? 3-4 weeks. You'll shed it right off. 3-4 weeks, you'll be good, right? It was 3.5 months.
No way.
Of a strict bodybuilding diet. Like, it was rigid. I mean, every carb counted, every gram of protein, 6 meals a day. And they had this product called Thermonex back then, which was an amazing product. They only had like 3 products. And Thermonex back then, ephedra was legal, right?
Yes.
And Thermonex worked, man, because it was full of ephedra. And I remember, like, I'd be sitting at my desk working, and
Sweating.
Yeah, I would just shudder, like, the guy next to me's like, beads of sweat are coming down my forehead, and like I feel my lats, like I'm just right. The guy next to me is like, dude, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, just over here losing weight. Why? So I remember going to get a physical, like 2 weeks before the shoot, and at this point they've got me on 9 of these a day, three times a day. I can't tell you how much ephedra was in there, but
oh my gosh,
like, it was crazy.
You were having 9 of them a day.
And I'm feeling good because I'm in phenomenal shape, right? And the doctor's like, man, your triglycerides are perfect. Your test levels were like, everything's perfect. except your resting heart rate. It's 130 beats a minute.
Oh my
And I'm like,
God.
I get really nervous at the doctor. And he goes, could you come back like in a week and test? I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't know why I didn't want to tell him, but I never could. So
He would tuck you out of it.
Maybe whatever it was, 2008, when the finance world and the recession hit, and the finance world, the mortgage industry specifically collapsed. I had a number of like 5 different brokerages that I was blessed to be a partner in throughout Florida, and the whole industry collapsed. And Chris and Scott, at that point, BSN had long since quit making Thermonex, had developed Explode, Syntha 6, and had blown up into this global brand. And they reached out to me at that point and asked me if I would come on board, and that's how I came on board with BSN.
And I thought it was so interesting when we went to the school. So what's cool about Glanbia, the whole company, is that they really educate every athlete, every employee about all the supplements, the supplement lines, everything. And one of the really interesting facts about BSN that some people may not know is they were the first ones to come out with pre-workout.
So do you remember that happening, Stuart? Or were you already there when the pre-workout started?
No, they yeah, I do. They actually invented the pre-workout category. And
how did that go?
Was the sales, huh?
How was it? Like, how was the process? Like, were you guys messing around with stuff, or what did he tell you? Like,
well,
what?
Chris was the marketer and the formulator, and Scott was the sales guy. That was their roles in it. And
they would complement each other.
Yeah, Chris, they were best friends, and Chris was kind of the Picasso, if you will, of formulating. And so I think they both came up with the idea, but he just tinkered and he created the formula. And back then it had like 40 active ingredients back then, right? And a lot of it was proprietary because that's how the industry was. And they were struggling. They were okay, but they were struggling. They didn't have a hero product. And they created Explode, but they were also brilliant marketers. At the same time they created that, was right around when they signed a guy named Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, I remember that.
So you think,
that's like what
me as an athlete wasn't big enough, and they had this. I don't know why. But suddenly they thought Ronnie could sell product.
That's when he was already winning the Olympia, huh?
I think Ronnie had just retired then. We're talking, that was probably 03 or 04.
Yeah.
And Ronnie was either on his way out or retired, but he was the king, man. So, and remember, this industry, now it's mainstream, but it was built in powerlifting and bodybuilding, and that's where it started.
And
so
I think it was like a huge contract. No, he was like one of the first ones to get like a really big contract with a supplement company, or was there other ones that were doing the same thing?
No, they in fact, Chris at one point said to me, if we didn't sell enough product, we couldn't have afforded Ronnie's contract.
Yeah, I bet.
So it was like, sure, we'll pay you this.
It was like,
hey,
that's a big gamble.
Wow.
That's a big
it's
a lot of stress.
You talk to any successful entrepreneur, and if you get the real behind the scenes, you're going to find out the risks they took were crazy. And so they signed Ronnie to a huge contract, unprecedented to your point. And didn't have the money for it, but we're going to get the money for it.
Do you remember how much it was, Stuart, back then?
I probably can't say, Shane. I probably.
So, like,
but it was north of $500,000 back then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and interestingly, I remember one of the first things Chris said to me when I came on board. He said, "This company's founded on 3 things." I said, "Okay, what is it?" He goes, "Remember this. Number 1, our products are efficacious." We're not allowed to use that word anymore, but bottom line, it means the products really work. It's a medical term for treatment that really works. Well, the products really work. Whatever we say they're going to do, they're going to do. Yes. And back then, sports nutrition, listen, I had already been in the fitness, the health club and gym business for 15 years. I always thought of sports nutrition as snake oil. It's like, whatever. It doesn't really work. There's all these claims. What is it? Other than maybe protein powder. Protein powder we knew worked, nothing else. Yeah. But number 1, our products really work. If we say nitrix is going to make you more vascular, it's going to make you more vascular. If we tell you Explode is going to get you through your workout and help you recover and help you be more vascular, and give you the pumps, then it's really going to do it, right? So number one, the products work. Number two, taste. Because back then, sports nutrition,
Yes.
everything tasted like monkey pee or chalk.
The metrics,
right?
remember the metrics? They tasted like Pepto-Bismol. Like I told Lizzie, right now you guys are spoiled. Like right now your shakes taste like old Cold Stone ice cream.
Yeah.
Back then it was
Yeah.
like, I remember I used to take off my shirt by the mirror and just chug the shake because it tasted like Pepto-Bismol. You're drinking a big shake.
That was
like
nasty,
Pepto-Bismol.
right? So they everything we make tastes great. And that's why Synta blew up, because they were the first ones to really put great flavor systems in there. And then number three, the third thing was everything that BSN does is cool. Our marketing is cool. Our swag is cool.
Like trendy.
Athletes are cool. Everything about us is hip and cool. And that's the three things that, along with two great entrepreneurs, brilliant business minds who just worked 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was good friends with both of them. I would not see Scott for 10 weeks at a time. I'd be like, where were you? Well, I was in California, Nevada. Did you come home? Yeah, I came home for a weekend and flew back out Monday morning. Like they were just, they sacrificed
Hustling.
Yeah,
hard. And I'm still good friends with them. They're still great people.
that's cool.
Love them both to death.
Nice. And for those of you who don't know, with the BSN products, Synthesix is the protein, and it's known for having the best flavor of all the proteins out there. And Inno Explode, Indo Rush is their pre-workout.
Yeah. I want to tell you a quick story about the protein shakes, right? So I've done fitness expos, and you have long lines of people drinking the shake, right? You give a
And they
sample to
try a
somebody.
shake at every booth.
They try a shake at every booth. At our booth, and they don't even look at you. They don't even make eye contact. They just get the stuff and drink it, and they leave to the other station. But when they would taste the shake, I remember I was making the German chocolate Cold Stone. They would drink it, and they would always go like that. Like, what did I just taste? Oh my goodness.
Right.
And I would tell them, it's good, huh? And they're like, yes, which one is it? And it was amazing. Like, I would even tell people that were next to me, like, look, check it out. Like, somebody's going to do a double take right now. And yeah, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, it tastes delicious.
And Cold Stone actually has to approve those flavors before we can bring them to market. We have to send it to them, and they have to approve it to make sure it matches whatever that ice cream is, right? So you're 100% right.
Yeah. So Stuart, what's something that you've seen in the fitness industry as it's gone from the bodybuilders being like the main ones to now the influencers being the main ones that are advertising and marketing and stuff? How has that been, that transition?
Well, again, even when I got in the industry, which was 2008, right? I'll tell you a quick story. I was on a plane with Scott James and our VP of sales. We'd gone to GNC and we're coming back, and a guy from Costco, who's the general manager, is talking to me. 3-hour plane ride. We start talking. I get off the plane pretty excited because I've got us in Costco, right?
Wow.
3 hours, I've got us in Costco. And I give Scott the guy's card, and I'm like, dude, I can get us in Costco. Just let me, and he grabs the card out of my hands and he rips it up. I've been with the company for like a month. He throws it. He goes, are you insane?
Wow.
Do you understand if we went into Costco and we went mainstream, do you understand we would lose all of our credibility? Everybody that buys products for us would say we've sold out. Do you not see what happened to metrics? And he's like in my face, going off on it, as he should.
That's cool.
So that tells you in 2008, and if we would have then, he's 100% right. We would have lost all credibility. They've dumbed down the formula. It's not the same. It's the same as.
That's what happened to EAS. That's what I feel like happened
excuse
to.
me. That's what happened to Bill Phillips and EAS. They went mainstream and lost. That's actually what he said was, because I couldn't get the reference. They're so irrelevant now. But he said, look what happened to EAS. That's what happened to us. And he was right back then. Today, Lizzie, to answer your question, and this was a big deal. We're in Walmart, Target, Walgreens, Amazon, everywhere you could possibly be. We are in Costco. We, as the Glanbia brand of family of brands is in Costco. So today what's happened is, from an education aspect to an acceptance aspect to the widening of what fitness is, that's changed. When I first got in this industry, and I would say, people would say, well, what do you do for a living? And I'd say, sports nutrition. And you just look at their eyes and they're like,
I love that.
They don't even know what to ask you from there. They're like, okay, right? So now you say sports nutrition and people, oh, you mean like protein powders, muscle builders, and recovery stuff? Yeah. So they know, right? And you know, Amazon was a part of that because Amazon made it acceptable to sell, and it made it more mainstream. But to your point, Lizzie, when I started managing gyms, I think it was 1986, I started in the health club business. And the big part of our sale then was educating people on what fitness is, what exercise will do for you, and how it'll change your life. We literally, they called it a perspective, and you would say, these are the benefits of fitness. Cardiovascular health, helps to prevent heart disease, helps to prevent cancer. And you go and list them all because people would be like,
why do I need to work out?
Really? It does all that, right?
Wow.
Along with dispelling the myths. Then you had to dispel the myths. Women, I can't lift weights. I'm just going to take an aerobic class, right? Because I'll look like a man. So the big part of your sale then was educating them on dispelling myths and also on what fitness does. And then, of course, there's the fear of failure, because let's face it, fitness is front end loaded, right? You can go to the gym, train your ass off for the first time. What do you have? You wake up the next morning, you're sore, you're miserable, especially because you did it wrong, because you didn't have a good trainer. And you're like, I don't look any different. I just feel like hell. Let me go 2 more times, and then I still don't know what I'm doing, and I'm still going to look the same. So I'm going to drop out. So a lot of it was making sure that even back then we didn't call it personal training, but they had the training and the guidance to stay with it. Whereas now, if you walk up to anybody in America that's got a high school education and say, hey, do you know that you need fitness? I'm not, well, I don't work out. No. I'm not asking if you do work out. Do you know do you know that you need fitness to make your life better? I know. And then they'll give you the excuse why they're not. But the point is now people know they need it, right? So along with that, that broadened education of understanding that you need to work out, you need fitness in order to be the best person you can be, not to an extreme, not to bodybuilding. I'm just talking about lifting 3 days a week, doing cardio 3 days a week, and generally eating healthy, right? Everybody knows that. But what's happened with that acceptance is also, okay, what's my advantages here? What else can I do? Oh gosh, I really do need a trainer because I've failed 3 other times before. I keep doing the same thing and I drop out. But yet I see my buddy over here, my wife is into it. Why did they stay with it? Okay, I got to get the right education and set my life up with the right lifestyle. And then you start looking and saying, all right, well, what else? Oh man, there's this thing. I see all this 10 years ago. Ensure was around, right? That product for seniors. Ensure didn't advertise protein. It just really advertised it as a drink for seniors, right? Now they've ramped up the amount of protein. 10 years ago, milk didn't talk about protein. Now milk advertises protein. Yogurt didn't talk about protein, right? So that it's been a massive education of consumers everywhere, specifically in America, because America leads sports nutrition and leads the fitness industry all over the world. What we do, other countries copy. So that's where you've seen just that broadened education, obviously stimulated by the internet, obviously stimulated by companies like GNC and Vitamin Shop and bodybuilding.com. But now it's mainstream, right? Sports nutrition is mainstream. So many people that are into fitness know, okay, in some way I can use some supplementation, whether it's recovery, whether it's protein, but it's hard to find anybody who's into fitness who's never tried protein powder in some form, or RTD. Right? It's just a natural transition.
You ask them, are you eating protein? Right away they assume a shake. They always never say food. Like, no, I tell them, oh, like food's protein, like chicken, steak. They're like, oh, okay, I thought it was just shakes. I was like, wow.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
It's all about the shake.
Wow.
But you know what? A bunch of those myths, I've been around them because of the Hispanic culture. With the whole, I train a lot of women that are Hispanic.
Big time, right?
They're scared to work out with weights.
Big time, and people always were. I used to actually grab a piece of paper and explain Here's how many calories 1 pound of fat burns off you on a daily basis, 0 to 2. Do you know what a calorie is? No. Okay. Calorie is a measurement of energy. You need to burn off. So it's like putting gas in your car. Gallon of gas, 1 calorie, energy. Get it? Okay. You need to burn off 3,500 of these to lose 1 pound. Now, add a pound of muscle. Guess how many calories a day that can burn off? I don't know. So you start laying it out and you go, oh my God, that can burn off that much muscle, depending on your body type, how much, but maybe 70 calories a day. If we added 10 pounds, 700 calories a day extra you're burning off. That's multiply that times a week. Holy crap. So I need muscle in order to lose weight. Boom. But I would literally take a piece of paper. It was funny because I would write it out. And at the end, I would get, my handwriting is horrible. My handwriting looks like a 2-year-old or a chicken or a 2-year-old chicken. I'm not sure. But they would go, can I? Like, you don't want this piece of paper, do you? I would have fun. No, you don't want this. It's my bad. No, can I have it?
What was your closer, Stuart? When you would close for personal training, what was like your closing that would like get them?
Well, there was a couple things. You know, the hardest thing to overcome, I think anybody in the industry will tell you, is the spouse objection, right? And the reason is because it's not a real objection. It's an objection is a request for more information, right? So if I say, hey, I got to ask my wife before I can work out.
We use those.
You're not asking for more information. It's called a stall tactic, right?
Yeah.
So
I use that all the time.
One of the most powerful things I would use is I would say, listen, okay, I think you should. First off, don't fight with people, but just say, let me ask you a question. Go along with me here. Would you ever quit brushing your teeth? No. Well, why not? Well, my teeth would rot. Okay. What else? How would your self-esteem be? It would be horrible. I wouldn't even want to open my mouth. Okay.
Yeah.
What percentage of your body do you think your teeth makes up? Right. Doesn't matter. What do you want to say? 2%, 5%, 1%, 10%. Okay. So you wouldn't quit brushing your teeth. No. Okay. What if your husband told you to quit brushing your teeth? Would you listen to him? Well, God, no. Well, why? I already told you.
Yeah.
My teeth would rot. My breath would be horrible. Okay. So what you're saying to me is you wouldn't let your husband or your wife tell you to not maintain the health and fitness of 2% of your body, but you will let them make the decision on 98% of your body.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Wow.
It's only good because it's true.
Yes,
You don't work out. As much as Lizzie may be a motivation and you always want to look good and you want to be your best for her, that isn't why you work out. You work out for you. It is it's your responsibility. So if you're going to put the responsibility of maintaining your health and fitness on another human being, guess who you're going to resent when you wake up feeling stressed and you wake up not liking the way you feel and look, and you wake up and you don't have the energy. Well, I'm going to resent my husband because he told me I couldn't do it. And that's going to be there, right? But it's an irresponsible decision for you to say it's somebody else's decision. Look at me and say, I don't want to be healthy and fit. I'll accept that. It ain't important to me. I'll accept that. But don't tell me it's somebody else's decision.
Right? I'm going to use that one. I'm going to use that one.
Too. But hey, Stuart,
I've written courses on this, Shane.
That's cool.
Actually, when I was a personal trainer in the early 90s, we had a personal training called Shape Up Unlimited. And we had a certifying continuing education program for personal trainers, and ACE actually certified us as continuing education. And the big part was because at that point, nobody had written sales for personal training. And I actually sat down and wrote a sales course for just personal trainers on how to sell. So it's kind of different at that point.
But so before you were doing like weight training and stuff, kind of bodybuilding style, what transitioned you from doing just the pure weight training into getting into the fighting? Now, what was that like? What inspired you to do that?
That's a really good question. So I got into fighting late in life. I got into fighting at 47, and it had always intrigued me, but I'd never done it. And I had a friend of mine that was a kickboxer, and I got into it like an idiot. I'm like, hey, I lift weights, I do cardio. How hard can this be? And I was quickly, and one of the things I love about the sport is it's constantly humbling, right? Because you might have a round where you're kicking somebody's ass, and the next round you're literally getting your ass kicked and you can't do anything to stop it, right? But I was horrible because 30 years or 25 years of lifting weights and not stretching, you think lifting weights by itself, let's face it, the reason fitness is so broad nowadays, lifting weights by itself does not mean you're an athlete. That's why we're doing plyometrics. That's why we're doing functional movements. That's why CrossFit has become so popular. That's why people are hitting mitts, kicking things, is because we've realized just lifting weights is great for aesthetics, and it is really good for your health along with cardio, right? But it doesn't really do much for athletic performance, especially as you age. You can just be like I was, unflexible, unexplosive, stiff, and I got a 115-pound guy in front of me beating my ass, and I can't do anything to stop him because he's twice as fast and he's twice as explosive and twice as powerful. So I fell in love with it instantly, Lizzie. Part of that was I loved you're never more alive than when you're standing across a cage or a ring looking at another human being that has the skill, the will, and the malice to render you unconscious. That's their goal. You'll never be more alive than that moment, right? It's incredible. That feeling and that fear and that feeling is incredible. But it was also extremely difficult and humbling for me. It was really hard, and I was horrible. I remember probably in the first month of training, the guy that's teaching me says, throw a high kick, right? A high kick is a kick to the head.
Yeah.
I kicked him on the knee. And he goes, no, I said a high kick. And I'm like, it was above your calf. That's my high kick, right? That's how little flexibility I had.
Wow.
And it was horrific. And so I trained for 6 or 7 years off and on. And then I met a guy named Manolo Lopez. I for my 55th birthday, I wanted to spar with a guy named El Tigre, who was a former world champion. Or for my 50th, that's what it was. And I just wanted to do that. So he sparred with me. We filmed it. We had a great time. He didn't kill me. He was nice. He humbled me. But I realized just how high his level was. And so I hired his coach, a guy named Manolo Lopez, who's still my coach and is the head coach for Freedom Fighters MMA. And we trained for a few years, but I would train with Manolo, but I still wasn't living the life of a fighter. And then I met another guy named Greg Choplin. Greg at the time was the WBC World Muay Thai kickboxing champion. And I started training with Greg, and I trained at a place called KO Zone, and the owner, Diego de Vera, was through this process was certifying me for my belts in American kickboxing. And so he came up to me and he said, I want you to test for your black belt. And I looked at Greg. Diego walks away, and I said, Greg, you really think I'm a black belt? I don't think I'm even close to that. And Greg looks at me. Your coaches always know how to get in your head, right?
Yeah.
And Greg looks at me and he goes, yeah, I got a different take on it. And I'm like, what is that? And he goes, I don't think you'd be a black belt until you've actually taken a fight. And he turns and walks away, right? And I remember standing there going, oh, you son of a bitch. Oh, you just called me out. I can't believe, and I was so, and I thought about it for about a week, and I came back and I said, okay, Greg, I want to take a fight, because I knew I had to. At that moment, I knew I had to. Like, he had just challenged me. And I'm like, oh, you can't do that. So as scary as it was, I said, I want to do it. And he goes, okay, look, you don't want to do it, man. It's a lifestyle. Your whole life is obsessed with it. You become committed. You have to drop weight. You're training 6 days a week. You're doing 2 a days. You're getting your ass kicked. He's like, no, you don't. And I'm like, Greg, I'm going to do it. It's that simple. He goes, okay. So we trained for a couple of weeks, and he goes, all right, I'm going to get you somebody in their 40s to fight. At this point, I'm 55 or 56. And I said, no, you won't. He goes, no, I just want to get you somebody in their 40s. I'm like, no. All right, I'll get you somebody in their 30s. No, you're not going to give me a number of 30s. No, I won't do it. I'm arguing with my coach, which, doesn't usually end well, right? I lose 99% of those arguments. And I looked at him and I said, Greg, listen, you get me a first-time fighter like I am, like everybody else. And if the kid is 22 and he beats me, it ain't because he's 22, it's he's a better fighter. And if I beat him, it ain't because I'm 56, it's because I'm a better fighter. I'm not going to grade on a curve, and I'm not going to have an asterisk by my win. That's who you get me. If you get me anybody different, I will walk out of the frickin' ring right then. Wow. It was the only time I've ever won an argument with him.
That's cool.
Nice.
Okay. So that's what we did. And I did my first fight at 56 against a 25-year-old.
Did you win?
I was blessed that day. I did win. It was
Nice.
close, but I did win. And I just actually fought that same guy this last Saturday night.
I was so happy when I turned 40 because I was like, I'm going to be able to do the Masters division now. I don't have to bodybuild against these kids anymore.
And he's wanting to go up against the
these
kids.
Steven Pintos with freaking 230 pounds of muscle, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's a little easier for them, right? They recover faster. They get leaner quicker. Yeah, they've got some advantages for sure. So anyway, that's how I got into the fighting thing, right?
That's very interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, and you just recently won a fight again. Last weekend, right?
How old was that kid that you beat up?
32.
32, half your age.
Yeah, and it was
Wow.
I was blessed.
62
This
versus
is my
32.
fourth fight. Yeah, and I fought in a promotion called 305 Fights.
Yeah.
And they had just partnered with a movie studio down here, a TV studio actually called Cachita Universal Studios. And we had a lot of challenges for this one. It'd been 4 years since I fought. I'd never quit training, but I hadn't fought in 4 years. So
What made you do
the
it?
first challenge was that man, I love to compete. I love to fight.
Nice.
Have like a
I'm still
goal
high
for
from
it.
last Saturday.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm still high from last Saturday.
And it looks like
I
you're
really
staying in
am. I'm
shape.
high.
Your face is all like sucked in and everything. You kept it up.
I'm going to keep there. I'm going to stay right about 5 pounds from my fighting weight. It's
That's
just where I want to
amazing.
stay from now
Keep
on
it
the
like
rest of
that.
my life.
Keep
Because
it like that.
Yeah, I feel so much better. I'm more athletic. It's less stress on my knees. And part of my challenge is I've got 2 torn ACLs. I've got grade 4 arthritis in both knees. I've got a degenerative disc in my back. I've got asthma. I've got a reattached bicep. I've got a right shoulder. I've got so much tendonitis I can't even go past like there. So
I just got tendonitis.
but I look at those things. Yeah, it's from all the years of lifting, right?
Yeah.
It's always there. And then you throw a punch and it's there. So I've got a lot of challenges, and to me, overcoming those challenges is part of this. And after my first fight, I had some crazy things happen. I had people coming out of nowhere, even in my training camp, telling me that you're inspiring me and that you're.
Wow.
It was crazy, right? And now it happens daily, and I still take it with a great deal of responsibility and appreciation.
Yes.
What they're saying is,
it's true.
you're leading by example, and you need to continue. I have to conduct myself with this generation of fighters with a certain level of professionalism, of hard work, of camaraderie,
Discipline.
of positivity, of discipline. So whenever I hear that, and I get it, I'm blessed now to get it almost daily. I understand that that's a responsibility. It's not a compliment. It's I'm putting you here, and I have to lead by example in that regard. And that's probably, Lizzie, a big part of why I do it. The other part of why I do it is it scares the hell out of me. It's the scariest thing I've ever planned to do in my life.
More than Stella?
And the third part is,
More than Stella?
I didn't plan Stella. She planned me. And I didn't have any choice from day one, dude.
Yeah, Lizzie, I'm scared of Lizzie first, other than anything. It's God and then Lizzie.
Exactly. You get it. You get it. So what happened in my first fight is I started having these grown men coming up after the fight, hugging me, telling me crazy stuff. And Stella and I had a television show that we wrote, produced, directed, and hosted, and got into national syndication called Livin' La Vida with Stella and Stuart. And we were in syndication for 4 years. So I went back to the production company and said, guys, I want to do a documentary, and I want to pay it back. The documentary isn't really about me, and it's not about fighting. It's the metaphor. Fighting is the metaphor, because everybody has a fight. We all have a fight. And we all have crap in our heads that holds us back from what our dreams really are. We all have things where we look and say, I don't have the resources of that guy. I don't have the education of that girl. I can't be a parent because my parents were lousy parent. I can't open a business because I've always been an employee. We all have crap that holds us back. And what this documentary is all about is, how do you overcome that? And it is the power of positive thinking, for sure. But it's more to that. I can't just sit here and think positively
Yeah.
But if you put that energy, literally that energy out into the world, track Manolo Lopez. Manolo Lopez is one of the greatest striking coaches and one of the best known legendary head coaches in MMA here in South Florida. He taught a guy named Yoel Romero how to strike. Greg Choplin is a world champion. These guys are opposing coaches. How are these two opposing coaches in my corner when I fight? Me, I'm an amateur hack fighter with a 2-2 record. I'm nobody. How are these guys, these great, extraordinary people in my corner? How did I attract them? And then when you attract those people, because they're around you.
Yeah.
And I always say, put the people around you with the skill, education, and resources to get you where you want to be. And then embrace that with no ego and with one goal to achieve your dreams. So what happens is when you find those people and you give them more energy, more effort than they thought they were going to get, and they're the right people, guess what they do? They give you more back. And then you elevate them because you give them more back. And it's this circle of accountability and teamwork where everybody rises and you attract all of those things, right? In my last fight, I'd seen this promotion called 305 Fights, and I'm like, it's in Miami. I want to fight in my hometown. And I reached out to them.
Wow.
Little did we know what we were going to go through. At first, they come back, they said, yep, we're going to do it. Who's your opponent? Boom, boom, boom. And then they come back and say, okay, the Florida State Boxing Commission wants you to get more than a physical. You need an MRI scan of your head. You need an EKG.
Yeah, it's a liability.
Blood test. Say it again.
It's a liability for them. Something were to happen to you.
Correct. And then want a doctor's note stating that you're fit to fight.
Wow.
And I'm like, holy crap, what doctor is going to sign off on that? I found a new physician. He was awesome.
Wow.
We got it in. We sent it in. 4 weeks fight, right? Then they come, no, all my fights have been sanctioned by you. You've licensed me, whether you know it or not, because I fought in these promotions. No. Okay, can you provide a bio, history of where you fought, who you train with? Boom, send that into them. Week goes by. Now, I'm in a training camp for my fight. You're in a training camp, you're cutting weight, you're sparring hard.
Yeah.
In this training camp, I literally tore my bicep where it bled out in here. I had my nose split open, my lips split open, my forehead banged up, my shin so banged up, I had to use 2 shin guards to spar. I was banged up and I'm focused on losing weight in my fight. And now I've got these challenges. And I use the word challenges because they're not obstacles and they're not problems, they're challenges. If you ask my son, what's the difference between stress and challenge? He would tell you one word, perspective, because he's been drilled with that his whole life.
Wow, that's a good one, boss.
And I'm like, what do you mean, Billy?
Perspective.
If I change my perspective and turn it into a challenge, I can start channeling positive energy and I can solve it and I can fix it. And if I'm just thinking about it as stress, I'm just reacting emotionally.
Wow.
And he would give you an answer like that.
Wow.
Because that's how we function as a family, right? So I had all these challenges. So I sent them in that. Then the next week they come back and they say, okay, we need sparring video.
What?
This is unprecedented.
Wow.
Nobody's ever asked for that. So I fight 3 3-minute rounds. What I sent them, and I sent a message back through the promotion. And this promotion, when you talk about attracting the right people, they were fighting for me. They wanted to make my fight one of the premier fights in the event out of 18 fights. They wanted to showcase my fight. So they're fighting for me. And the owner of the promotion is a lifelong martial artist. And he's 56, so he can relate and he still practices. So I said, okay, I can give you sparring video of me smacking somebody around that's not as good as me. But here's what I'm going to give you instead. I'm going to give you 3 5-minute rounds, unedited. So you can see I'm not resting, going against a guy who's fighting for a championship as a pro next week, a guy who's a former champion as a pro and still fights, and a current amateur champion in 305 fights. I'm going to give you the guys that I train with, high level, my teammates that are better than me. And I'm going to show you me going against guys that are higher level than me to show you what I can take. I send that into them. Another week goes by. Now I'm 2 weeks out from my fight. It's a Friday afternoon. I get a text. They want an EKG stress test and a bleed out test.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
All right. So how long do I have to do this? We need it in by Thursday. So you can't get an EKG stress test without a cardiologist. I don't have a cardiologist because I don't have a heart problem.
And also with COVID right
So that's
now.
my first challenge. So
Yeah.
you're everything, right? Bottom line, I'm blessed. My GP happens to share an office with a cardiologist.
Wow.
I go in there Monday morning. I'm begging them in person. I'm like talking. I'm like, guys, please. Not only did they do it, the cardiologist finished it on Wednesday and said, I'm not leaving here tonight until I finish this report.
Wow.
Come in here at 9 a.m. and I'm going to hand you the report. We're going to make sure you get taken care of. My emergency, not a medical emergency. And these people took such great care
That's
of
so
me.
cool.
Again, how does this happen?
Yeah.
How does this happen? And it's the positive energy and intent.
Yeah.
My intent is to help change people's life with this documentary.
Exactly.
If I can take one person and allow them to see how to achieve their dream, I don't give a shit about the money.
Oh yeah, it's worth it.
All I care about is that,
Changing
right?
that person. Yeah.
Changing that person and helping them to get their dream achieved. So we get that in. I get a phone call the next morning after I send it in, and it's Awa from the promotion screaming, "Go sell some tickets!" And I literally, Shane, I just started crying. I just started bawling on the phone.
Wow.
It meant so much to me, and I was so excited to fight.
You already won.
So last Friday, you know, a lot of people shared that with me, but to me, I had to win the fight.
Yeah.
And so last Friday at the weigh-ins, again, I'm gonna try and make a long story short, but my opponent shows up hour and a half late. We're just about to go on camera for the face-off. He finally walks in the door. We get on the face-off. Then he goes to weigh in. We're supposed to fight at 170. I weigh 167. He weighs in at 181.
Oh man.
But the boxing commission looks at us both, and the boxing commission guy was my age, still competes in jiu-jitsu. He wanted me to fight, and he looks at me and he goes, "Can you come up 5 pounds by tomorrow at 5 o'clock?" And I'm like, "Yeah, easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that." And he looks at my opponent and goes, "Can you drop 2?"
Mm.
And he's like, "Yeah, I can do that." He goes, "Okay, if you guys can get close, we'll just change the fight
Okay.
weight. I can make this happen." Right?
Perfect.
So I go 4:30 in the afternoon. You'd have to check in to the studio to fight. There's 18 fighters in the fight. What's funny is Fridays, we're doing the weigh-ins. I got guys walking up to me. This is my world. All my teammates are in their 20s, a few in their 30s. This is where I live. But there's tons of fighters there. They don't know me. And they're like, "Who are you coaching?"
What?
I'm not coaching, brother. I'm
fighting.
fighting. And as soon as I said it, like, "Oh, dude, let me get your picture." They just,
that's cool.
fighters
Embrace
love this.
you.
And then I've got fighters coming up to me that I don't know and say, "Man, I follow you on social.
Wow.
You inspire me." And for me, again, what that means when I hear that is lead by example. There's a young generation of fighters that you can influence with your messaging, with your effort, and what you put out in this world. And it's really precious. When someone says that, that's so precious.
Yes.
And that's a gift that if you value it, you better embrace it, and you better be that.
Yeah.
So I get to the event, 6 o'clock, they come over, they weigh us both in. My opponent is now 4 times heavier.
What the hell?
So now he's at 185.
Oh.
And the guy from the boxing commission looks at me and he's like, "I can't do it, guys." It's like, if this is by our laws, by the boxing commission bylaws, you're too far apart. He looks at me, he goes, "I know you don't think 15 pounds is a big deal, but it is." So he's trying to protect me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What can you do?" So he says, "We can let you fight an exhibition. Instead of 3 3-minute rounds, it's 2 2-minute rounds." And that's the best I can do. So honestly, my head went into the sand. I was upset. I was texting Stella, and she helped me as she always does, and said, "Babe, just you came here to put on a show.
Yeah.
You came here to kick his ass.
Yeah.
Kick his ass. You got 4 minutes to do it." So that's
I would have kicked his ass for letting me go through that.
So my teammates get there. We have 3 fights on the card. 2 are title fights, and then mine. And they had told me I'm going to fight 15th out of 18, which normally I wouldn't. But they were showcasing this as a feature kickboxing bout on an MMA card. So they put me close to the main event. So my teammates get there, and I'm still I'm getting my head together, but I tell them, and they're like, "Dude, you need to beat his ass worse because he came in overweight. You need to make him pay for that."
Yes.
And you know what? All they're telling you, instead of beating his ass in 9 minutes, beat it in 4. and they all rallied around me.
Good.
And that's what we do. That's the thing I love about my teammates. It's literally like family. They literally will kick my ass with love. And I mean, we'll be sparring. They'll hit me hard. They back up and come at me right now. Get back up, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as that round is over, no matter how hard it is, we hug and we all love each other. And that's an extraordinary thing. You think this is an individual sport, but it's always about the team. So finally, I get ready to go out. It's 10:30 at night. I'm starving. We're having a great time. My team's back there. They're loose like they always are. They're eating pizza in front of me. I'm dying because I'm just so hungry and so dehydrated. And all I want to do is eat pizza. But that made me realize I was so relaxed because all I wanted to focus on was the pizza.
Yeah.
And everybody's in my ear, dude, go out and do a show. Do a show on this dude.
Yeah.
So it's like 10:30. I'm ready to walk out. I'm about to come out of the little tunnel and they go, stop. I'm like, what? No, we're moving you to the main event.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's 5 fights. Like my first reaction, I didn't say anything, but I'm like 5 fights times 3 rounds of 5 minutes. I'm like, holy crap, that's another hour, right? But my saving grace was that, look, if they had to fight an exhibition and shorten my rounds, like what a blessing, right? What a blessing to move me to the main event. And an amateur hack fighter, my age, to be able to fight a guy 30 years younger in my hometown with all my friends there, with my number one fan, Stella, right there by the cage and on a nationally televised pay-per-view. Like what an extraordinary moment it was. And I was happy. Like my song is a song that you probably know. It's "Oh Happy Day," right? It's called "Redemption Song." It's an old Bob Marley. That's my walkout song.
That's
and I
cool.
play it because it just makes me happy. I'm literally walking down the platform for the walkout, just smiling, right? Just like, my God,
embracing
this is
it. Yeah.
This is what I work for, right? And I think he landed 1 punch and 1 kick, and everything else was me. And I'm not talking trash. Like I've sent you the video. You'll see it. It is.
Yeah, we can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I want to put a clip while we're talking.
Win.
And when your documentary comes out, make sure to send us the link, everything, so we can put
Say
it
that
all
again?
here. When your documentary comes out, make sure to send it to us so we can put it on the link here on YouTube.
So we can share it.
Yeah.
So we can share it as much as possible. But we have to wrap it up. We got to go back to
We
work
will.
and
I have
everything.
to go to work right now.
Back to the gym. But
Thanks
you
for the
so
opportunity,
much.
guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in with us and getting
Thank you
on
so
Zoom
much,
and
Stuart.
taking the
Thank
time.
you
We
so
know you're
much.
busy and we really
Yes, thank you for
appreciate
taking
it.
the time for doing this.
No, it's truly my pleasure. It's my honor. I love what you guys do. I love the message you put out in the world. And it's so parallel to what Stella and I do. And it's always positivity.
Yes.
And I think that's why we have such a great connection. So it truly is my privilege to be on here. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this message.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
Cool.
Bye. Have a good rest
Bye.
of your
Have a
day.
good
We'll
rest.
stay in touch.
Thanks. You too. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to the SWOLEMATES podcast. Please subscribe and visit us for more at SWOLEMATESPodcast.com.